and welcome to this episode of our poem podcast. Today I'm here with Miss
Hussein,
Miss Smith,
Miss Thornhill,
and I'm Miss Standers. So, Miss Thornhill, can you start us off by telling us a bit about Shelley? Obviously, the poem we're looking at today, sorry, I forgot to mention, is Love's Philosophy. So, Miss Thornhill?
Percy Shelley was one of the Romantics, and what I mean by that is he was concerned with the power of nature and the imagination, those things are reflected in his poetry. So if you look at Love's Philosophy, for example, he's talking about the power of nature and how we should be at one with nature. So to try and persuade his love interest that she should be with him.
Yeah, so like in the Love's Philosophy, he does use a lot of personification. Like at the start, for example, in line 1, he says the fountains mingle. So he's trying to not only create that image of people mingling together, relationship-wise and stuff, but also how the fountains.
So he's saying if the fountains mingle with the rivers, then why aren't you mingling with me? It's natural, it's meant to be.
Yeah, it's like he's very
manipulative.
Yeah, it's like he's a bit annoyed at how, if the nature can do this, if fountains and rivers can do this, why can't I have that with someone else?
It's almost like he's like pleading with her to be with him in that sense.
He's trying to make her feel like she's got no choice. You know, this is happening all around us. Look, what's wrong with you? That's the manipulation side of things.
And would you say he's quite frustrated?
Yeah, I mean, part of being a romantic poet was they weren't just interested in extreme joy and ecstasy, they were also interested in extreme brooding. So if you look at Byron's poem, When We Two Parted, I think they're very similar in theme because both of them are quite melancholic, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they're both of the men are lamenting over a woman.
Yeah. I just want to turn our attention to one of the quotes in the poem, which is, "And the moonbeams kiss the sea." Now, obviously, we've spoken about how his sort of view on love and the way how he feels. Mr. Sain, what do you think about that quote there?
How everything in nature comes in pairs. So he's referring to his love life, just like nature.
Yeah, so it's not a positive view of love, is it? I mean, if you think about, for example, Romeo and Juliet, we have unrequited love in there, and I think that we can see that running through this poem. The love that he has for this woman isn't reciprocated. Mm-hmm. She doesn't give it back.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think so. We've also looked at the personification and sort of his imagery used in there. I want to just turn our attention to the structure of this poem. So, Mr. Sain, do you have anything to say about the structure?
It's interesting how both stanzas end with a rhetorical question, and how they're both equal as well. So they're octaves. Yeah, both octaves. So it's almost like you could say both people in the relationship are equal, as the two stanzas are equal. But then that question mark at the end of each stanza, it shows a lot of uncertainty and how he gets.
I think you're right about the equality thing, because he was very interested in kind of feminism at the time. So he's not saying to this woman, look, I'm better than you have to be with me. He's saying you have a choice. But I think with the use of the rhetorical questions, he's using that as in a way as if to say, well, actually, you don't really, so it is kind of asserting his power over her. I think also what else is interesting is he was a well-known atheist, so he didn't, but he makes references to God in the poem.
He does.
I don't know, it's
when he says, "See the mountains kiss high heaven."
Yeah, and then he says, "The law." Does he say divine law?
Yeah.
Divine law. Yeah. So he's saying this is something. Go on.
You could kind of say that that's kind of ironic then, in a sense, couldn't you? The fact that we know he's an atheist, but he's using like religious language it kind of shows how far he's willing to go to be persuasive in that sense.
Well, he would have known at that time in history when he was writing his poems, people were very concerned with religion and they lived their lives to the letter of the law, didn't they? Mm-hmm. So he knows that she probably, she's not an atheist, so that he's putting the fear of God into her, really.
Yeah, that's true. So the structure and obviously the use of language in this poem is very interesting. I just want to turn our attention to the intention. I know we sort of touched on it, but what do you think his whole intent of this poem is? What was his the purpose of writing this poem?
To persuade. I mean, we don't know. Well, he's just talking about the connections between humans and nature. Really. He wants us to.
And do you think he's trying to say that it's natural to want to be in love with someone? It's natural.
Yeah, it's the most natural thing in the world. Being in love and being a union and in a partnership with someone else is what we're here for. Really, I think is what he's trying to say.
Yeah, he's trying to say if like
nothing is on its own. Nothing is single.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's saying if nature can always have something in nature can have a partner, why can't I?
Yeah. So I wanted to, sorry. Yeah. Could I, so that the quotation, and the moonbeams kiss the sea. Is it true when the sea's tides
is governed by the moon?
The moon.
Yeah.
Okay. So when the moonbeams kiss the sea, could that cause waves and tides?
Yeah. So it could be a reference to passion. Yeah. The passion.
It could. Yeah.
Passion, yeah. So although it sounds quite romantic and soft, when the moon, when it kisses the sea, it could cause a lot of tides in the relationship.
Yeah, when the waves clasp. Yeah. Someone used the word clasp, and it's sort of
there's an undertone of aggression there.
Possessive, yeah. So do you think that he has a particular type of love that he'd want from those types of words? It sounds like there is sort of an underlying type of love that
maybe
want.
Quite like forceful or like passionate, maybe.
Yeah,
no, like a consuming type of relationship, maybe.
But in his own life, although he was married to the writer Mary Shelley. They had an open relationship, and he lived quite a bohemian lifestyle, so he wasn't really traditional. So the poem seems to contradict the man that he appeared to be in real life.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting how, if by just reading the poem at first, you might look at it and think, oh, it's just about nature. But when you start to look at words in detail, it's actually about the love that he's longing and what he wants to have.
And even if you look at the title, Love's Philosophy, philosophy means to think. So this whole poem is about his thoughts on love.
Yeah. So I think we'll conclude the podcast there. Thank you very much to Ms. Hussain, Ms. Smith, Ms. Thornhill for joining me today, and we will see you next time, Year 10. Thank you very much.
Bye.